Welcome to FailCraft, the podcast where we dive into the messy, real side of success and explore how setbacks become the stepping stones to growth and clarity. Today's guest is Avonley Lightstone, author of the incredibly moving book Strength of Scars. It's a raw and honest look at her childhood, one marked by unbelievable tragedy, trauma, and abuse. At just 3 years old, she tried to save her mother from a house fire, a fire her mother tragically didn't survive. Soon after, father placed her for adoption. What followed was years of abuse, also amazingly a journey towards healing, resilience, and finding forgiveness. Avonley now uses a powerful story to help others find beauty in their brokenness and real strength in scars. She's here to share how faith carried her through the darkest times and how anyone can find freedom and purpose no matter what they've faced so far. Avonlea, thank you so much for joining us on FailCraft. It's truly an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Ezekiel, for allowing me to be on your show. I appreciate it very much. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Let's dive in. Your book, Strength of Scars, details unimaginable childhood trauma, the fire, losing your mother, adoption, abuse. So, can you walk us through that, experience for you, the journey, and also share what the rock bottom felt like for you during those years?
Okay, so my tragedy started at a very young age, at the age of 3. Tried to save my like you mentioned in the bio, I tried to save my mother from a house fire while my father was drunk, passed out, unresponsive, and I remember seeing my mom in pain, just trying to the help that she needs. So as a 3-year-old, I went to my dad, shook him, tried to wake him up. He just wouldn't respond. So I just felt like I needed to do the best that I could. And that was just going to my mom and just hugging her, like hoping that the pain would go away. So that's what I did. I went and hugged my mom as tight as I could, and then the flames consumed us both. And it was from me screaming, is when my father woke up, and I just remember being in the hospital. And being at the hospital, I had to be scrubbed of the debris because the clothes was burnt onto my skin. I didn't have any sort of medication to numb my pain. I just had to endure all the pain, and that was worse than being caught on fire itself. So what had happened is they had to scrub my back and my body of the debris, and then I had to lay on a cot to air dry, and that's the way I was healing. My mom came and laid beside me, and she was completely covered from her face all the way down to her toes. She was just completely burnt, unrecognizable, and she didn't survive for I would say after 3 days, it was when she passed away, and my dad stopped showing up, and my siblings stopped showing up. So it was at that time when I hit rock bottom, and it was a very early age, and this is how I have such vivid memories of my younger life, is because the time that I was recovering, I was alone. I felt abandoned, I felt rejected, and I just had to cope with understanding by myself. And in that moment, I just didn't know what was going on. So that was the start of everything crumbling.
So, thank you for sharing your story with us here today, Avonlea. So, what was the very first spark of faith or hope that started your long journey towards healing?
So I was then adopted into a family of 14 children after my father had placed me up for adoption. I was then adopted into a family of 14 children. And like I mentioned in the bio, my mom was adopted mom was emotionally, physically, mentally abusive. But what really helped me in those hard times, because you can't just fathom, like, I had a family in India and losing my mom and then being adopted into a completely opposite side of the world and being abused. And that's just really hard to take in. I was very fortunate enough to be adopted into a family that had a religion where they had God. And I think during my hard times was knowing that you could just talk to God whenever you wanted. You could pray to him, and I just knew that I felt safe with him. And so during all these hard times is when I leaned on him even more.
All right. So you describe yourself transforming from a voiceless victim. What did that actually feel like, and how did you begin to find your voice?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people can relate to this, especially as a child. We're not like no one like sees us as something like grand. And whatever we say, it's a lot of times we're using our imagination or it's just, oh, it's just young kids. They're fabricating, right? So it was just really hard feeling like I was alone in this abuse, this encounter, this lifestyle I was in, and not getting the help that I needed, and not seeing that, like, how can people, like the adult people in your town or your community, how could they not see it? And if they did, why aren't they reaching out to offer help? And even when I've asked for help, it didn't really matter. And so that was just really hard to, like, comprehend because I think it would have prevented a lot of, like, emotional trauma that I went through if I had had the help that I needed, and if my voice mattered to somebody. But it didn't, and I believe it had a lot to do with just how well-known my mom was in the community. She did a great job of volunteering in her church. She was always helping volunteer with our community and school. So she did her part to make her look like stand out of the crowd that she was just a really good human being. But behind closed doors, it was something completely different. It wasn't until I got out of that home, graduated from high school, was out on my own when I realized that what I went through was not okay and it was abuse. And I had to do a lot of healing, internal healing. I got married, I had kids, and I didn't want to take a lot of that pain and put it on to my children. So I went ahead and did a lot of self-healing, self-reflection, read a lot of self-help book, and that really helped me start finding my voice and knowing who I was and going through a lot of forgiveness. Like forgiveness, it wasn't overnight that everything worked out. I had to eliminate, like get rid of those harmful people that caused harm in my life. But I had to understand what forgiveness was. I had to say sorry with the situation and not allow what she did to me no longer affect me in my life. I wasn't allowing that to take over my future life or my present moment. I was willing to like surrender all that and give it to God and just move on. And sometimes you just have to do that. You have to find your own voice and uh, many times you have to let go of people that you absolutely love in your life to really start healing.
All right. So, Avonlea, what realization made you feel that your story wasn't just something you survived, but something you had to share with others to help them?
So I knew that I had a story since I was a young child. I never wanted to share my story, even though like people that I talked to expressed many times like, hey, you need to share your story. Like it's going to help a lot of people. But a part of me just didn't want to because I I didn't wanna bring down my mom. It feels like I'm bringing down my mom just to make me feel better. It wasn't until, um, a few years ago when I got a strong impression, um, saying that, "Hey, I need to write this book. I need to share my story. There's a lot of people that are hurting, that are in pain. And if I could share a little piece of my story, maybe I could make an impact on someone else. Maybe I could help give a different perspective of healing for someone else that are just in pain." And I believe when we share our stories, we can learn from one another and we can grow. And that's the whole purpose. We just want to help build each other. And that's when I decided I think I want to bring contribute to kindness, contribute to bringing healing into this world, and I'd be willing to share my story, even if it's a little vulnerable.
What advice would you give to someone listening today who is deep in their own trauma right now?
I would realize the advice that I would say is remember tomorrow is a perfect day. It's completely perfect with no blemishes and it's yours to paint. How do you want to make tomorrow look the best in your life? Yes, you're going to have you're going to carry some weight where it's going to be rough and it's going to be tough and it's going to show up in your painting. But if you have a blank canvas and you can paint tomorrow the best version, why not? So just take a deep breath and tell yourself you matter and that there are people out there, even if you haven't met them, they're praying for you, they're rooting for you, and that wants the best for you. And just having to know that there's people that care, like myself, I'm sharing my story to bring hope to somebody else. Paint your canvas so beautiful and don't allow things to hold you back. Don't allow people's words that isn't a reflection. It's not a reflection of you. Like don't let that bring you down. Make the most of yourself and know who you are. Like you're a child of God um and you matter in this world. So just paint that canvas like tomorrow is a perfect day as if you don't have those blemishes.
That's really great advice from the heart. Thank you very much for sharing. So, after everything you have endured and overcome, what does being successful truly mean to you right now?
Being successful is being able to conquer something that was so hard for you.
Mm.
So some may feel like they've accomplished and became successful because, they've had a business and it's going really well. Maybe your success could easily be walking away from a toxic relationship that held you down. It all depends on the situation you're in your life and seeing the load that you ended up taking and you conquering it. So a success really is, it could be something big or small. It's being able to overcome something that you didn't think you could.
All right. This has been a really incredibly moving conversation. For listeners who are touched by your story and want to read Strength of Scars or connect with you, where is the best place for them to go, Avonley?
Oh, that's a great question. I am slowly trying to build my social media. So if you just go on to Avonley Lightstone to any of the social media like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you can follow me there. Or if you would like a free copy of the first, I believe it's first two chapters of my book, you can go to my website, www.avonleylightstone.com, and go ahead and get a couple of free chapters of my book there and connect with me and let me know how you're doing. And it would be great to know my fans.
All right. Avonley, it's been a really inspiring conversation with you today, and truly honored to have you share your story today on FailCraft. I am excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Ezekiel. I appreciate your time and appreciate being on your podcast.